make us who we are. So I'll dream until I make it real, and all I see is.
Welcome to Mentorship Monday with Michelle and Maren. Welcome to the show where we talk about things that are spiritual, metaphysical, transformational, and all things good. Maren, hi, how are you? I'm so happy to be here with you. It's like I'm saving up. I'm like on a roll.
Yeah, I know. I was like, man, she's talking fast. I like it.
Yeah.
I am great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. I've had lots of good sleep. I'm feeling like I'm very grounded. The celery juice is going well. Everything, I'm feeling better. But I've really, I have to tell you, I've really cut back on the amount that I've been doing. So I've been spacing things out more, like allowing myself, I was putting in sessions where I had time booked off, to do things that I need to do for myself, for my home, for my family. And I put that aside. So I've really gotten back to giving myself that time again. And it's not easy because I've had to do some juggling with my schedule, but it's made such a difference because I'm able to show up and I feel so much better. Like I'm feeling better inside and out. So yeah, so it's
I
good.
love that. And I have to say, I used your celery juice not having all the things analogy with my husband. He is known for his pizzas. He makes the best pizzas in the world. We always tell him you should open up a pizza restaurant.
Yeah.
And he wanted to try like grinded pepperoni. And so he wanted a food processor, and he wanted me to pick a food processor up at the store. And I was like, you don't need a food processor. He's like, yes, I do. That's how you make like perfect grinded pepperoni. And, and I know. And I was like, no, let me tell you, Michelle does her celery juice and she doesn't have a food processor. She just takes it in the blender and she just squeezes out the I don't know what it is, the rinds or whatever you would call it. And it's fine. So we're going to try it in the blender. And he was like, so upset with me. Just let me buy the food processor, lady, And I was like, no, we're going to do this first and see how it goes.
Yeah.
And then we will buy a food processor. So we did it in the blender. It was amazing. I was like, see,
good.
Listen to your wife. We don't need all the gadgets. So thank you. You were very
good,
instrumental in my argument with my husband about a food processor.
Excellent. That's good. I'm glad that could be of service. It is going very well. I have to tell you though, the amount of celery juice that comes out is not very much compared to the amount of celery that's going in. So I will say that I do wish I could get a little bit more out, but that's okay. It's still working.
That's good.
So
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So what's going on? What's new?
Okay.
How have things been?
I've got some more updates for you.
Good.
All good news here. So yesterday, this is an update to my cousin's job situation where I'm still baffled by that, what happened there. But yes, he was looking for a job. I predicted it to come in August. I got all these signs. All the signs came. No job.
Yeah.
And so, of course, he's upset with me. And I'm like, what happened? I don't know. Anyways, I was listening to this podcast and they said that also remember I said, if this was a mistake, please tell me that the job will boomerang back to him. And if it's not a mistake and he needs to go move on, show me a kangaroo. And I gave my spirit guides 24 hours and they set me up and I said kangaroo myself to a neighbor and I couldn't believe it. So the job's gone. I still can't believe that. So anyways, I'm listening to this podcast and they said sometimes, I don't even know if they said sometimes, I feel like they said always, but that our greatest achievements happen after our hardest adversities.
Mm-hmm.
And I immediately thought of my cousin. Like I was like, I feel like it's coming. Like that was a really hard loss. And I think that this thing's coming and it's going to be really big. And the second they said that, they go, isn't it funny how things just boomerang in our life? And I was like, oh, it was a message for me. They used boomerang.
Yeah.
So
Isn't
I
that
can't believe
interesting?
that. Isn't that amazing how signs
Yes.
work? And then it made
Yes.
me think, like, what even made me use those two signs in the first place? Like when I was like, okay, I mean, how random is that? Boomerang and a
Yeah.
kangaroo.
Yeah.
And then, it was able to be validated within 24 hours later. And then I'm thinking about the same situation and the same word comes up. Like,
That's
that's
crazy.
unbelievable. It's
Yeah.
almost like, it's like, how far ahead did they know? Like, it just kind of blows my mind about
Well, it's a
timeline.
combination of our spirit guides and then the energy of our law of attraction. The
Yeah.
universal law when we put something out. So it's a combination of those energies. But that's pretty awesome. And I wonder if it'll be the same job or if it's another. It's really hard to say, but something's definitely coming.
Something's
Something is
coming. That's
definitely
for
coming.
sure. Yeah.
Something's definitely coming. Oh, that's interesting. That's pretty cool. I have a
Yeah.
story to share with you. I have a
Okay.
story to share with you, with everybody. Okay, so this is this is really interesting. This actually just happened yesterday. So
Okay.
my brother has been staying at my parents'. He's had his RV here. He's been helping with my mom and dad, and so he's been staying for a couple days. And he had to go to. We live about 2 hours away from Toronto, and there's a lot of specialists, and he has a doctor that he sees for his back in Toronto. So when he goes to a hotel and spends the night because his appointment's early in the morning, and then he drives back. So he took his vehicle, left the RV here. This is important why I'm saying this. So he left the RV, and he took his vehicle and stayed in the hotel. And that night he was woken by a spirit that was actually poking him, like pushing down on his arms, and he just had a knee replacement. So they were like pushing on the knee, and he actually felt more than one that was there. Now, just to preface, my brother is it's so weird because when we were in high school, everybody always used to say that I was the female version of him, like people
Oh
that
my
knew
gosh.
him and vice versa, right? Because we are a
Uh-huh.
lot alike. And he has always been very intuitive, and he's been on his own journey, and we've had a lot of synchronistic experiences together, but he hears spirit, and he could totally do this work if he wanted to, but he just kind of, plays with it within his own life and communicates himself. Anyway, so he's having this experience, and he said that it was getting really annoying. He goes, I wasn't really scared, but he says, I've never had it so physical before. And he goes to the point where he could actually, like, he was having trouble pulling his arm up because he could feel the pressure being pushed down. And he
Oh my
kept getting
goodness.
this sense of, I'm trying to wake you up and get your attention. So it wasn't something malevolent. It wasn't like that kind of energy. He says it was a bit more playful.
Was it a
But
ghost?
well, this is what he was getting, because he was asking, like, who are you? And he was getting that somebody was like wanting help. And so he told them to go away. He says, I'm trying to sleep. Stop touching me. Stop doing that. Go away. And it stopped. It was done. Went away. So he checks out, goes to his appointment. And that night, he came back here to the RV, and he went to bed. It was so weird because that same night I kept getting that I need to go talk to him in the morning. Go talk to him. Go talk to him. Go talk to him. And I kept, like I said to Rob early in the morning, is Mike back? Is he back? Do you see his vehicle out there? And he says, oh, I think he's back. Like, I didn't even know what exactly I'm about to talk to him about, but I knew I need to go talk to him. So I did my sessions and that yesterday morning, and I didn't even see that he had texted me, because he texted me while I was in my sessions. And he texted me, I have a question, Michelle. Can you come talk to me? Right? So I didn't even see that. I just was like, so he thought I was coming to answer him, and I'm really coming to see like what the heck is going on. Why am I being pulled over to you? Because I didn't even look at my text messages. So anyway, we were sitting in his RV, and he proceeds to tell me that this happened, and I'm looking behind him, and I can see a spirit standing behind him. Like I'm physically seeing the outline of a spirit, and I'm like, there's someone standing right behind you. He goes, I know. And he says that the night he got home, he woke up about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and he could hear his windows rattling on the inside, his blinds rattling, and then the door was locked to the RV, but the handle was rattling. And so he gets
Oh
up
my
and he
God.
looks, and like as soon as he gets up, it stops. And then he steps back and he sees it rattling from the inside. So there's nobody. He's like looking around, looking out. There's nobody
Oh.
there. So he's like, okay, what's going on here? Because it's now the next night, 2 nights in a row. So he goes back to the bedrooms at the back. So he goes back to his bed, lays back down, looks at the end of his bed and sees a man leaning over the bed and looking directly at him, like saw him clear as day, just like you and I. And my brother threw a pillow at him.
Oh.
It freaked him out. He's like, he didn't know what to do. He's just like, and he just whipped a pillow at him, went right through him, and he was gone, right? And he was a little freaked out, but then he was like, it was weird because I didn't feel like heaviness as far as like he wasn't there to scare him or anything. And right away, the energy comes right in, and I started communicating with it. So we put on the radar, right? Because so that Mike could see what was happening. That spirit spoke directly to us with the with the radar, right? Like
Oh my.
so we're speaking, so I'm speaking out loud and communicating and then translating what he's saying back. And then the radar is repeating the words, which often happens when Helene and I do our healing. We do our tandem healing. We'll put the radar on because we cross a lot of spirits and that sort of thing, and they'll speak directly back through it. So this was an Earthbound spirit.
Shit, I got to get the
Mhm.
radar out more often.
Yes.
If you guys haven't listened to the Ghost Radar app episode,
Yes.
you should. And it's the
Yes.
Ghost Radar app. That's a free app or $1 or something
Yes.
on the App
And
Store.
and just in case you guys haven't seen it, just to preface, it is a tool. We are energy. Spirit manipulates energy, can manipulate energy. And so it's another way. So just like anything else, if you don't believe in it, and it's probably going to make no sense, be nonsensical to you, but if you use it for like with intention, and you use it just like you would your cards, your pendulum, anything else, it will absolutely be used for a purpose of communication. And so that was a great moment for my brother and I to have, because it was validating everything and a
Wow.
lot of really deep information, validating where he was, where the location of where the hotel was, the town it was in. It was like validating. We were talking about it being, we were saying he was earthbound. So I was telling my brother, yes, he is earthbound. He's looking to be crossed. He was very confused. He let us know that he had an opportunity to cross and he had turned it down. And so Mike's light was help. He was looking for help. And what he said, so we had Eric present. We had a couple other, I'll say helpers present to have him cross. And the last thing he said before he went was, "I'm sorry about my friends." And we're like, is there going to be more? And that's all he
Yeah.
said. And then the ghost
Or
radar
maybe
just said,
go ahead.
bye. Bye.
That is
Like,
unbelievable.
yeah.
Maybe his friends were in the hotel room with him or
Yes,
something.
and that's what my brother said. My brother goes,
Yeah.
"Oh, I know what that means." He goes, "Because and this is when he said, I could tell there was more than one. There was more than one that was there." But this was simply, and we really don't know how long he was around or anything, but he was drawn to the light. Now, what's really interesting is Mike has done a lot of inner work on himself, especially as of lately. And there's been a vibrational shift in him. And it's you can see it, you can feel it. So his light will be really burning bright. And there's so many reasons, like Eric was telling me, all these different reasons why this would be happening. But that moment, like how validating and really how special that was to have that moment with my brother, to experience
Yeah.
that with him.
Yeah.
And for him to have an opportunity to, like, I do share a lot of information with him about my work and what we do in that, but um he has an immense amount of spiritual empowerment. Like, there's just so much that he's able to do, and I think that really helps show him, that his light is very important, not only to all of us in the physical, but how he is, because he's a healer and he's a
Mhm.
social worker and a mechanic. So he's got like a little bit of everything, but he is one that people have always come to for help. And I just feel there's something special happening with him right now. But that was just
Wow.
the craziest
That
little
is
circumstance.
unbelievable. Okay,
Yeah.
this is gonna take us off topic, but I really feel I really feel like I could go down a rabbit hole with this whole
Yeah.
story, but um why are they always in hotels? Like, they're always in hotels. When
Yes.
I stayed in this town, that was kinda like, it had, like, a few haunted places
Yeah.
in the town, but I was at a Hampton Inn, like, it was
Yeah.
not haunted.
Yeah.
And I woke up and this was before my awakening. I woke up in the middle of the night and there was like a ghost standing over me and I was like, "Oh, I don't know what to do." And I just like rolled over and went back to sleep. And then after my awakening, I went to a hotel and there was a ghost there. And like, why are they always at hotels?
Well, there's a lot of, from my experience, there's a lot of passing that happens in hotels.
Oh.
So, and there's a lot of energy present. So you think about all the different people that pass through there. There's a lot of emotional energy. Have you ever walked into a hotel room and you can feel like almost like a dull hum? Like, even though the room could be beautiful, it could be, and it just has this weird vibe to it. That could be from, somebody having an argument, somebody being extremely upset. Because think of all the different reasons why you'd be in a hotel. It's not always for leisure. Sometimes people are in hotels because they're going through some kind of separation, or people that have taken their own lives in hotels, which happens a lot. And hotels don't tell you. They're not going to tell you unless there's some reason the police were involved and it was like in the news or something, but they're not going to tell you that they took a body out of that room or out of a room, because that's bad for business. They don't want to scare
Hmm.
people away or make people feel like, oh, I don't want to stay there. There's been a lot of people taking their life there. So a lot of times a person would go to be somewhere away from their family, or, to not have someone have that memory in their home, or so a lot of times they'll go into a hotel so that they're away from home. So there's a lot of that high charged emotional energy, or high charged trauma in some way. Plus, there's people that pass in their sleep, and not all of them are stuck either. It's from what I have understood is that sometimes an earthbound spirit can present as a whole being, but it's actually a fractal of the soul. So it might be the traumatized part of the soul. And so it's like it is lost. It's confused, and
Yeah.
yet there's a whole other part of them that has transitioned. So it's
Yeah.
it's so complex, and not really
Yeah.
this one size fits all. And that's why it's really
Mhm.
important to not have like this is how it is and it can't be any other way. So you always want to learn and say, yeah, that feels right, and keep your mind open, because from my experience, it's like I could understand something and know it's truth, or know that it feels right. But then it's when I actually walk through the experiences, when something happens to me, I start to learn it in a deeper way. And maybe it was slightly different than the way I understood it before. So I just want to keep it really open. But these things are really, so much deeper than I think that our human mind can understand it. But this particular soul um, was very adamant of, I missed my chance. I missed my
Okay.
chance. And it didn't feel like he was there a whole long time. Like this wasn't, I didn't even ask my brother what he looked like what era he looked from. I'll have to
Mhm.
ask him that because I didn't see his face or anything. I just saw his outline behind him.
Yeah.
And it was very clear outline, and it was phasing in and out and in, so it wasn't like holding. It would just
Oh,
get
yeah.
real strong, and I could see his entire shape, height, everything. And then it would kind of go back into the distance and then phase back up again. It was fascinating.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Yeah, the other night, just makes me go, oh, who was with me the other night? So the other night, um, my husband was out of town. Everything always happens when he's out of town.
That's funny.
Why? And it was like the same thing that was happening. I mean, the whole RV thing that was intense, but it was kind of
Mhm.
like that, where I was like hearing
Mhm.
little things, little rattles, little pops
Mhm.
and buzzes, and I was just like, oh, why is this happening right now? Like it was just trying to get out of bed,
Yeah.
and then I was really hoping it wasn't a someone that needed to be crossed, so I just didn't. Normally, I'll take care of it, right? Like, oh, who's here? What's going on? Let me give you some light. You need to cross. But I was like, nope, this is not happening. I'm going to bed. And then my dog woke up in the middle of the night and he was like barking at me. And I tried, got him some water, I pet him, please go back to bed, give him some water. Still wasn't enough. And I was like, okay, maybe he needs to go outside. And it's like 3 a.m. I don't want to go outside
Mhm.
at 3 a.m. to
Mhm.
But I went outside. He didn't really do anything when we went outside. So it was like, why was he barking at me? Somebody was there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Definitely.
So do you feel like, what do you do? What did you do? Did you just like put out white light? Did you just talk to them? How did you cross him?
So, I use pretty much the same thing that I normally would do, um, when Helena and I cross different spirits together. And what I did was I called upon Eric. Um, they showed me a white light, like a door, and they always show me what looks like a white circle. That white circle came up, and so I just let him know, and he had actually indicated that he was looking for family.
Oh,
So I had said, your family is there. You do have loved ones waiting for you. Archangel Michael was present. Jesus was present, and um, he felt like he was being called upon. Like there was a connection, some kind of connection there, because there was a very, even though he was presenting as a man, there was a very young feeling to him. Like because I felt this like child, like taking my child across. So
mhm.
all I did was I just expressed you're safe, you're okay. And there was no resistance of him
No
crossing. It was very
hesitation. Yeah.
quick. Yeah, it was very quick. So it was just providing a lot of love and um, whether you see something or not, because Eric's just saying too, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're visualizing something, it's there. It's there, and you have to trust that, right? So it's just
Yeah.
allowing them the opportunity, calling in whatever guides are comfortable. Archangel Michael is one that I call upon for any type of crossing or anything else like that. But Eric just says it's providing them, because the reason why, like, he's just saying, some people might say, well, why can't they just call upon, like, why can't they call out to their guides and they come? And again, that's not a one size fits all answer because there's an experience that took place here too, right? There's an experience on my brother's portion, a learning experience. There's one here for myself, for us together. But also, um, the way that it's explained to me is that it may have been he was guided to my brother, and that's what it feels like he was guided to go to that light and
Mhm.
ask for help. And so he was doing everything he could to get my brother's attention because he knew that by doing that, because there is uh, there's like a strength to those of us on earth as a conduit to be able to assist in this process. Otherwise, spirit would do it themselves, and I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do
That's what's
cross
so
lots of
interesting.
souls over.
Yeah, that's what's so interesting is that they need us to somehow visualize light to cross them over. Like,
Well, and there's a
you
lot
know?
that we don't know as well, because remember,
Yeah.
our soul, like we are a portion, a small portion of our soul projected into this physical body. So
Mhm.
there's a whole, like we exist right now in spirit. We are in spirit, focused in many different locations. And I'll just say a little side note here is earlier this morning, what was coming into my meditation was how we're already like we're multidimensional. And so in spirit, we can focus in so many different places, right? So we already do that now. So, because if you think about how we're having this conversation, yet our mind could be going to the past and thinking about something and then projects into
Yeah.
so we already
Yeah.
do that in a way, right? So if you
Okay.
think about that expanded, so our soul can do that and really be a part of something and aware of everything all at once. So that part of us is also working with us. So we're working with our own self. And is that part of us? Do we bring many souls over already? Well, Eric says yes. He says many of us do, that we do help cross souls. And he says there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on that we might think is weird, that goes on that would be very hard for us to understand because they are concepts that our human brain is not programmed to
Mhm.
understand, you know? So it is interesting. Like it kind of is it's like why do you need me? Like you're out of the body and Eric just says, but they're also in that state, they're out of the physical body. They're not crossed. They're moving through an astral plane. And so they're working with the material world, the physical world, with an awareness of there being something else, but not being able to access it.
Yeah.
So,
That's so
yeah.
interesting. And I imagine the light. So like I think back to I know I shared on did I share that about being a part of I think I did, being a part of my grandmother-in-law's passing and
Mhm.
like I came to have consciousness when I was being told go you need to go now, but I wanted to paint my toenails and
Yes.
they're like no you don't have time, you need to go now. And
Yeah.
so then I look forward and I see like all these people like gathered under what looks like construction lights, like it's dark at night
Yeah.
but the light is that bright. And so
Yes.
I know when you guys say like, "Oh, your light is bright, your light is bright," that's how they find you. It's like
Yes.
it is true. Like when I was in that state, it's like I knew right where to go because there was that
Yeah.
light there. Like there was no, it's like a moth to a flame. Like there was nowhere
Yes.
else I would have felt safe going. There was nowhere else. Like I just saw this humongous bright light and I was like, God, that's where I need to be. And I
Mhm.
went there. Like it's
Yes.
so interesting,
Yeah.
the light.
Yeah, it really is. There's, you know, I think it's just fascinating because there's so many stories that I've read and that people have had and people have shared with me. And even my own experience, my daughter had an experience. I think she was 12 at the time, my oldest daughter. And there was a soul that she was having nightmares. And she came to me after the third night she had this nightmare, and it was this scary looking spidery thing, and it had a really awful looking face, and it was terrifying her. And but yet she said that I didn't feel like I was in danger, but she says I just feel like there's a presence, like something. So we both did a meditation, and at the time, um, there was also she was seeing a soul. Like, so after I would do Eric's hour of enlightenment, sometimes because she's clairvoyant, so she'll see things, just not she's not looking for it, just something will pop up and she'll see it. So she saw this boy standing here one night. This is around the same time, and he looked like he was from the early 1900s, just a young boy, little suspenders and a hat, and he was in that sepia looking color, just standing in front of my desk. And my daughter thought that it was Marcus. So, like, she just on first
Oh,
glance, she was like, "Why is Marcus down here right now?" And clearly it wasn't Marcus, and he just went away like that in front of her, and she was like, "Oh boy." So she had these dreams. Well, what we ended up finding out with Eric's help was that this boy was looking to be crossed. He was looking for help, and he was coming to Maya. He felt safe coming to Maya, but he was trying to get her to tell me. Because if he was just showing up as a boy or showing up as a young boy for Maya, she wouldn't have really thought too much about it in the dream. So he showed up in a way that would get her attention, because as we started to communicate, she started to get the visual of this face coming in, and it was very similar to the one that she had seen. So in that case, we both together crossed him over. And I had a lot of questions because I'm like, okay, this is a young boy. Like, this is a young boy. Like, how did that happen? What if, like, so we got some history. We were able to get some information of where he was and kind of in the geographical location of where he was from. But in that particular period, that was a fractal of the soul. And it was a traumatic passing. It was through fire. And that was actually one of the first experiences I had with picking up on fire, because the bottom of my legs from my ankle up halfway up my thigh started to burn. And
wow.
I'd never felt that before. So that was the
Yeah.
first time. And that following week, I had clients come in, and sure enough, like, two of them had passed in a fire, and I knew exactly what the burning was through that experience. I could feel it in my body. So there's so many intricacies, like, you can see how that experience then leads to assisting us in something else. Like, everything has this purpose to it. But a lot of those things, you know, yes, I understand earthbound spirits, and I would understand kind of the things that I had learned through channeling and everything. But when you actually experience it, it's a whole, it's very emotional, I find, a lot, because that one
Hmm.
with that boy was very emotional in crossing him. But all the dreams went away, everything stopped. It was all done after that. But that's crazy.
Wow. That is so crazy. I
Yeah.
could just talk for hours about earthbound spirits because they just are so fascinating to me.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
is unbelievable.
And I'm sure lots of people have had experience. Like, write your experiences down, share with us. If you guys have had an experience, share it with us.
Yeah.
And that would be great to have a conversation, just to answer
Hmm.
some questions and kind of get into
Hmm.
some of that. So I love hearing people's experiences. I just love
Me
it. I
too.
get so excited
I
when
do
somebody's
too.
like, "Can I share this with you?" I'm like, "Please, could you? I'd love it."
Yeah, same here. I love it too. It's
Mhm.
I just find each encounter so fascinating
It
by
is fascinating.
how different yet similar they are.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so interesting.
Yeah. Very unique. And this path is definitely every day in our life. No matter what part of the journey we're focused in, there's always something fascinating that we can
Hmm.
tap into and feel and learn. It just never gets old.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a question.
Mhm.
Sorry, I'm getting us so off topic. So was having lots of earthbound activity, right?
Mhm.
And then I uh, was told like, hey, you should probably like, cut that out because you need to like focus on what your we'll just simplify, because I was kind of getting inundated, right, with it. And so like, hey, you need to make sure that when you're doing mediumship, you're doing it at an assigned place. And if any spirits want to contact you, that they need to be doing it when you're in meditation and not like when you're trying to go to bed and whatnot. And I mean, I kind of agree with that, although sometimes like right before bed is the only time I can meditate. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways, and so they were like, you need to tell them to cut it out. So then I kind of went with this whole, like, I'm not gonna cross anybody before bed anymore. Like, this is like sacred, like family come in, say hi, but like people that
Yeah.
need help stay out.
Yeah.
But then just that other night, like I had all that incidents happen, and that's why I kind of ignored it, because I was like, no, you're not here. I'm not crossing people at night anymore. So you need to go away. And then they never went away. So is that a good thing to do? Like, should I just continue on with it, or should I keep the space sacred, or should I, or not sacred, but like,
well, and
Earthbound
those are
free, or
they're your boundaries, right? So just like you would have boundaries with the living, like was
yeah, that's
allowing
true.
certain people in. So would you have guests come into your house, or would you have clients or anybody come into your house right before you went to bed? Because that's your time to wind down. And if it's family coming to visit, that's your boundary. And because we do this work, we have to be careful with that line of, just like with spirits, there's lots of spirits that, or earthbounds that need help, but there's many of us all over the world. And it's not willing to help, but it's creating the boundaries to make sure that you are rested, taken care of, able to have time with your family, because there are people that, like some people I know, I think Michael, when we talked to Michael, and he said he doesn't have any problem with it outside of his readings. Like, they don't come to him. It's just when he sits down for his readings. But it's not like that for everybody. And we're all different, right?
Yeah.
So this is, I think, important that you do have those boundaries in place, that you're able to say, that you're able to say that these are my open hours. These are when I'm going to do my readings. But when some slip through, and what's just coming to me as I'm saying this, when some slip through, is there a reason for that? Is there a reason why they're slipping through? Right? Because
Yes.
I always say to my guides, I don't want to be inundated. I used to not be able to go to funeral homes or anything because I could not handle what would happen to me afterwards. I would, for one, get so emotional in the funeral home. It would just be hard. It was almost embarrassing how emotional I would get. It wouldn't matter who I was going there for. I was just very unstable is what it would look like. It was hard. And then afterwards, it was like I needed to recover for days because I was so drained. So I had to really work with boundaries with energy and all of that sort of thing. But I've always said to my guides, if there is a reason, if there is something that is very important, if there's something that I really need to be part of that needs to go past that boundary, I trust that my guides understand that and will help me, or will notify me, will allow them through, right? So what I'm feeling about what you're saying is that in particular is there's a reason why they were there,
Yeah.
right? Now, if you tell them to go away and you just say, no, not right now, or if you say, can you come back in the morning? They should. I've not had an
Okay.
experience where I've ever said, not right now, that they didn't come back later. Because I usually say, if you're here for this, can you come back in an hour? Can you come back when I'm sitting down? Because sometimes you have to do that. Because spirit, you got to remember too, spirit, earthbound or crossed over spirits, there's a more knowledge that they have, but spirits can be in different spaces of their own expansion, so they know more than what they did when they're in their physical life, but not all of them are say completely, know everything type thing. Like, I don't know if I'm getting this across in the right way, but they're not all they're not all knowing, and even some guides, Eric's saying too, like their understanding of time, the experience of time and everything is different than for us. So it's more like seeing the light and coming into the vibration, the energy, and it's the calmness that happens. So, you're going to bed, things are calming down. So it's like, okay, she's calm.
She's ready to listen.
Right.
She's
like
ready
not
to see.
exactly. Because when we start to go to sleep and get into that meditation space, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
hello, I'm open. So that's why we have to use the boundaries so that we've got those shields up to say, nope, not right now, I need to sleep. But if you need to come through, if it's an emergency, let's see what's going on. And if it can wait till tomorrow, we'll do it.
Okay. That's what I'll do. They'll probably be like, no, it can't wait till tomorrow because you won't remember. So let's do it tonight.
Yeah. Well, this is good. This is a good conversation. Yeah.
Oh, seriously, I could go for hours with
I know.
this
There's so many
conversation.
stories.
Yeah.
And I will I'm going to say this because I know that there's a couple people watching that are thinking about wanting to have conversations with aliens. So I think we're going to have, I think we're going to have a visit. I've asked Adrian, and Adrian is a tall white that comes in once in a while into channeling Eric, and he's very sweet, and he has a very good connection with a lot of people. And that, so at some point, Adrian's going to come and we'll do a session with Adrian, ask some questions and see what he has to share with everybody. But yeah, so I think a lot of good things coming up. And is there anything else? Are there any other announcements that we have?
Your class.
Well, yes, the class. And I think there's 2 spaces left.
Oh my goodness.
2 spaces. So yes. Okay. Yes. So
I'm excited.
Yeah. So if you would like to nab up those 2 spaces, go right ahead. And otherwise, I'm so excited because it's a nice group of people on there, and I love doing this when we're coming together and just working with the energy. And Eric is going to come in and help teach as well in this class too. So yeah.
Shout out to Eric for my reading this week. Thank you, Eric. You were awesome. You did good.
And that's the other thing. You guys make sure that you're checking out Maren's website and you're checking her out and booking with her. Maren is amazing. She's very humble and doesn't let on how amazing she is, but she is amazing. So make sure that you're checking her out and booking a session with her because she's pretty awesome.
Thanks, Michelle.
You're welcome.
Well,
all right.
I think that's it.
That's it for today. It's another wonderful Monday night, although we are filming this the day before. So it's another wonderful Monday, and I hope you guys have a fantastic week. Thanks for hanging out with us once again. Tell us your stories with, did you see a spirit? Did you have a communication? Have you ever had someone pop up at you at nighttime when you're sleeping? Tell us about that because we're really curious. We'd like to know. So on that note, guys, have a wonderful week. We love you all. And bye, Maren. Talk to you soon.
All right. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Stay spiritual and have fun. All right.
Bye, guys.